My name is Carol Biggs and I work for the Hastings Trust. The Hastings Trust focuses on the social, environmental, cultural and economic regeneration of Hastings. To this end, we took the opportunity to refurbish a Victorian terrace building that had become very neglected. This is a property typical of many in the Hastings and surrounding area. Being on a very tight budget, we had help from Hastings Borough Council with a loan to be able to do this. We were concerned that the building was brought up to a very high environmental standard so that this could be used as an example and demonstration of good regeneration. The fact that we had so many environmental features also mean that the bills at the end of the month are kept low on these buildings. This is also important to the Hastings Trust because it helps in the fight against fuel poverty. We worked as much as possible with local trades and local suppliers, and a key feature for us was the training aspect. With funding from the Future Cities, we were able to train a core group who had been long-term unemployed or for one reason excluded from the job market to a good standard of site skills and health and safety. They then, together with our trainer Eric Moore, worked on the basement flat of the building and brought this up to a lovely standard. They also carried out a number of jobs throughout the building, learning as they went and also helping us to finish the job.
My name is Russell Smith and I'm here representing the project at 12 Cambridge Gardens in Hastings on behalf of the Hastings Trust. I work for a company called Parity Projects, which specialises in the reduction of energy and water consumption of the existing housing stock. This video is being produced in order to provide a basis for training for experts or artisans, whoever, anywhere in between of those kinds of trades, people who want to engage in and carry out the renovation of our existing housing stock to focus on low energy and low water lifestyles. The project at 12 Cambridge Gardens was commissioned by the Hastings Trust on the back of the acquisition of a 4-storey bed and breakfast house. It's being turned into 4 apartments, all available for sale, which is quite a new experiment in the UK. Most of the time you'll get perhaps landlords that have individual properties that they might rent out that are low energy, but on this basis we're looking to really test the market to see what these properties are valued as in the market and what people, in other words, what people are prepared to pay for this type of a property. In the UK, we've got a particular problem with the existing housing stock. We've got near on 23 million homes in the UK. By 2050, it's predicted that we've got a hell of a lot of the houses that are still here now to be around. In fact, 75% of the houses that are here right now will still be here in 2050. So we need to focus on the energy reduction requirements that make the existence of those houses in 2050 possible, but also alongside meeting the government's long-term targets for reducing energy consumption. It's quite clear that if we are to meet our government's targets, which is a reduction of 80% of our carbon emissions based on what we were producing in 1990, that we've got a big ask on our hands if all those houses will still be here in 2050. Especially when you regard that 27% of the total energy consumption in the UK is attributed to domestic energy consumption. So those 3 facts together make it quite a big undertaking, especially when you regard that actually in the UK at the moment there are about 60 to 70 houses that actually you would consider as low energy older buildings. Moreover, you might want to consider that to meet that target in 2050 we should be renovating nigh on 600,000 homes a year to meet that target. The average UK home's total annual energy consumption is made up of a number of factors. Typically 60% of the total energy consumption through a year will be attributed to heat loss and heating of the house. 24% will be attributed to heating of hot water. So that's 84% of the total energy consumption in the house is attributed to anything to do with the boiler. But with regard to heat loss specifically, 60%. That's a very big number considering that we're only heating our houses for maybe 5 months a year. But we balance those heat losses with the amount of heat we throw out of a radiator or whatever heating system you have. So notionally, if we reduce the amount of heat loss in a house, we're reducing the need for that boiler. The amount of energy that goes into that house is reduced. So in an old building like this, those proportions can actually be a little bit larger than the UK average home. You might find in a Victorian building such as this that percentage of total energy consumption attributed to heating might be up at the 70 or 75% mark. Some houses that we've analysed on behalf of our clients might be up at 90%. So it's absolutely key for us to be able to reduce the heat losses through the fabric of the building. In order to reduce the heat losses in the fabric of the building, what we've done in this particular building, in order to provide an example for the people who are working on it, we've taken on 3 different types of insulation. With a building of this age in the UK, you have solid walls, you don't have cavity walls. You have to apply the insulation to either the inside face or the outside face of that brickwork. Both of them have their own individual problems and advantages. However, here in Hastings we're in a conservation area. The building cannot be changed from the outside without planning permission. And bearing in mind this is a terraced house, it's very unlikely to be given permission for insulation to be added on the outside because it would change the appearance of the building too much. So we've opted to put insulation on the inside face of the building. And there are 3 key measures that we've chosen here. The first is to apply sheet wall insulation seated within a timber frame construction. Another measure is to use a new system from Knauf Insulation called their Eco Stud system, and that applies insulated battens to the wall, in between which you apply conventional recycled glass wool insulation. The final system we've used is battens placed on an uneven wall, then Celotex placed over the top with plasterboard placed on top of that. So all of these surfaces basically are taking up some of the floor space. You're applying the insulation, you're putting plasterboard over the top, it's being plastered and then painted. So the appearance of the building doesn't change too much, but on the external walls, you've just got a bit of a fatter wall.